Thinking about when there are no words, I thought first about where words come from. And art and MBT is attachment-based therapy, so it's easy to say that words come from a relationship. And so even when this little one hasn't got words, we would say in the course that mum is mentalizing. She's using her curiosity and her experience and her instincts to converse with this baby, in this case, by holding and soothing. And this is another conversation with mother and baby, playing, having fun, and you can almost see the words emerging here, all the babble. And then we're moving on to looking together. So that's really important for arts therapy. It's called joint attention in psychology, and it's a particular milestone that in child development, when you start to look at the world around you, and you do that from a secure base, kind of being with mom or dad or uncle or whoever it is. You just be aware of it in the supermarket or on the bus, and it's when the little ones are sort of pointing and going, look, digger, or oranges, or whatever it is. And the important thing is the proximity really to mom, so that they feel safe to explore the world from this point. And the other thing to say about that is they're a bit young for theory of mind, but that moment, probably 3 or 5 years old, you're beginning to work out that not the whole world thinks like you, that different people have different viewpoints and different people have different minds. So that's something that gradually emerges during childhood. And maybe this is the beginning of it. And so here you can see we're getting on to art and art therapy, and 3 people having a conversation and sharing different viewpoints to find out more, to get a wider perspective on what Mark Rotho might be painting about. So in the course, we look together at art quite a lot, and we might use this one to think with each other about how we read feelings. So you might read feelings by, watching faces and bodies, and again in the course we'd all have different viewpoints, we'll all see different things, and you also might read paintings or images through your guts. You might feel something. So this is by Marlena Dukas, I hope I got that name right. It's an exhibition in the Tate. We do observational drawing. I'll come back to that if anyone's interested in observational drawing. There's a reason why we do it. And this is a sort of theory slide a little bit. So in mentalizing, we're thinking a lot about keeping a balance between self and other thoughts and feelings. And that's mainly so that you don't get stuck in one extreme. You're not thinking, if you find yourself thinking too much about yourself, then you need to think, helpful to think about other people, and the other way around. When you're thinking too much about other people, don't forget yourself. So the idea is a spectrum, moving from one to the other. So implicit and explicit, really important for art. Well, implicit is important for art because implicit processing is when we're being creative, we don't quite know what we're doing, we're moving colours around, and we're able to explore. Now, explicit is also really important. So that's the sort of art you get on road signposts. So I try to choose a funny one, which I think is quite good, but it's very explicit. And the idea is you need to move between the two. Don't get stuck on one extreme or the other. So I'm in the art room now. Another conversation, and you have to imagine us around the table. It's just an early exercise. I guess as art therapists, we're aware that people are anxious about making art, so we structure the course with short exercises, some fun exercises, like this one would be in the first session. And here, I've got onto the paintings that the group members have done. So at the end of the course, we interview each other, and I'm just going to move the images so I can see the words. And this is Lorna did this one, and it's in response to an exercise which we called Layers of the Mind. So she's saying, I ended up doing what people see on the outside and what's going on in the inside, which is interested how different that was, and coming to the idea that people don't necessarily know what I'm feeling on the inside, and I might have to be explicit about it. We ask each other, what's difficult about mentalizing? People don't know what you're thinking, and you don't know what they're thinking. So you've always got to, got like the unknown and trying to find out, trying to be curious. I don't know, how am I doing for time? Am I all right? This is another painting. So we went to the Holborn Gallery as part of the course, and this is a Peter Bruegel painting that Alfie chose to respond to in his art. And he said he just picked something that he could enjoy, really important. And he picked out a painting of woodcutters bundling wood, something that I related to. And that's kind of important in mentalizing and in art, to find yourself, you know, find, I guess that's a fairly obvious point. It's good to find yourself. So this is Alfie again, and I think it's fair to say that Alfie is somebody who lost his words when he had his first episode of psychosis. So by this point in the course, he's finding his words again. But he said, expressing myself as well as I could, or would like to be able to. Sorry, done that the wrong way around. I think I find mentalizing difficult, and maybe I find it difficult to express myself as well as I could and would like to be able to. And Alfie identifies that the reason that might happen is because in this moment in his life, recovering from psychosis, he feels as if there aren't many ideas or sort of words in his mind. So it's hard. And I'm guessing others might relate to that. So I'd be really interested if we get back to that in the discussion. This is Asa, and it's a brain. And Asa is able to be quite explicit at this point. Wasn't always so. It took him, you know, a long time to articulate what was going on in the artwork. And he talked about this one, choosing it because it said something useful about himself and the way I think when I become psychotic. So in the middle is the limbic system, which is the sort of primitive part of the brain that we share with the animals, with fight, flight, things like that. There's another bit from Asa. And then he talks about the cerebral cortex. So that's the larger part of our brain, it's with the blue in this side, where we're wanting to think and reflect on things. It's part of the brain that makes us human. And Asa's reflecting that when he's in psychosis, there's lightning, stormy. He can't really make sense, and he can't really work out what's happening. I can't really work out what's going on. So there, I think, you know, there's likely to be not very many words that are useful to him. Obviously, when he made this painting, he wasn't in that state. He was able to be incredibly clear. There. So this image is Harry's. And Harry, there are words with this one, but because you're here, I'm going to skip over them. And I'm going to hand it over to you in a bit. So I'm just going to end by saying, you know, the idea of that was to just show some images, hopefully to feed the discussion about when there's no words.